Years ago, I was on the radio and I said, who could argue with a mom? Moms are going to make all the difference in the world, and they are. It is the moms and the dads that are in front of our school districts right now that are making all the difference. I want to introduce you to Tina Descovich. She has been on with us before. She is the co-founder of Moms for Liberty. She's from Florida. But you guys are having a big impact on school boards. Welcome.
Thank you. It is an honor to be here. We formed a little over a year ago, and we are building an army of moms across this country. It is remarkable, the growth that we've had.
And you've been in this for a long time.
I have been in for a very long time. About 2008, I think it was. I was listening to your show, and it was one of those really serious moments where you were looking into the camera, and you said, get involved in your local community. Get out there. Get and build relationships so people learn to trust you and get to know you, so that when the time comes, and you said, because the time is coming, when no one is going to know where to find truth, and they're going to look around in their community to people that they trust and they've worked with and has served them. And that time's going to come, and you need to be that person.
Wow, good for you.
So, well, that was a long time ago. That was like 2008. That same day, an email came out at my local school that they needed a PTO president. And I thought, Glenn said I needed to get involved. I guess I could be the PTO president. Led to me running to school board a few years later, serving in my community in that capacity and on multiple boards, which ultimately led to the building of Moms for Liberty.
So it's not too late. Listen to me. Let me have a look into the camera. I speak directly into the microphone to you. You must get involved. The thing that I learned from studying the 1930s, everyone said, this is bad, but it couldn't get any worse from here. It will. The only thing that will stop it is people recognizing that it can get worse, and they've decided to stand up now. It's only going to get harder to stand up. But if we all stood up, if every mom and dad stood up right now, this would be over. It would be over overnight.
What's happening is all it's taking is one brave person in each community to step up. And, and sometimes they say we're very alone. I feel like I'm the only person here.
Yeah.
We send them to a school board meeting and someone sees them speak up, and then they have two. And then the two of them go next week and speak up, and then they have three. And we have grown in that fashion with zero marketing budget over the last 14 months to 80,000 active moms in 34 states and 180 chapters.
That's amazing.
It's remarkable.
Imagine if you had George Soros money.
Oh, it's not George Soros money. The mainstream media attacks us endlessly saying we have Koch brothers money. I've never met the Koch brothers. I don't know who they are. I would accept their money if they sent it our way, but we don't have that money.
So you say, and I agree with you, we're at war right now.
We are.
Tell me about that.
Oh, Glenn, there's so many horrible things happening in our public school system. Tiffany and I, the co-founders of Moms for Liberty, served on school boards, separate school boards from 2016 to 2020. And what we like to say is that we saw behind the education curtain. We saw all this stuff going on back there, even in Florida, the great free state of Florida, where unions aren't that strong, but they still have a lot of power.
Yeah.
And so we saw those things happening. And at the end of our terms in 2020, the whole country saw. We started to see the power the union had to keep schools closed, that they didn't have children's best interests in heart. And so since then, we've seen all kinds of things, CRT be rammed down. And what we're focused in on right now is the sexualization of our children. What is happening there is despicable. And we're the final line of defense here. Because if you tear apart the family, what they're trying to do is drive a really big wedge between children and families. The government is inserting themselves right in there, taking away parental rights at every turn. Our mission is to defend parental rights at all levels of government. And in that way, we're going to save our country.
Tell me about the story. There's this woman in California named Abigail, and she had a daughter that had mental health issues, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me her story.
It's really a heartbreaking story. Her daughter had mental health issues for a very long time, and her mother was working very closely with her to work through a lot of these things. At school, she was introduced to the LGBTQ club, and at some point, she decided she wanted to be a male. Her mother wasn't horribly hard on her about that, tried to work with her through some of these things, but at some point, the government decided that the mother was not supportive enough, and so they took her daughter away, and they put her in a gender transition program. And they started her on the hormones and all of it. They let her mother see her once a week, supervised visitation. And here's the part I want your listeners to understand. She was not allowed to speak about God to her child. That's a whole new level of where we're going in this country. That story ends very tragically, Glenn, because while that child was in the care of the state, she committed suicide.
Oh my gosh. Imagine being a mom. And this is not an isolated case. This is happening, and people just, I don't know who to trust when it comes to teachers, but I will tell you this. And tell me if this is wrong, my first test is, you a member of the union? Because you don't have to be a member of the union. If you're a member of the union, then you are paying for this kind of stuff to happen. If it's not at your school, it's at somebody else's school.
Teachers need to learn quickly that the union says they need it for insurance reasons and such of that nature. They do not need the union, and they are putting money towards the destruction of the family if they are giving money to the union. All
right. So how do you join? How can we help you?
They can go to momsforliberty.org. There's many ways you can help, but mostly we need people. We do so much work. Our moms have stepped up. They're volunteers.
Yeah.
They've stepped up in their community. There is too much work for them to do. We are reviewing textbooks. We are reviewing curriculum. We are doing public records requests to see what trainings are going on for the leaders, the teachers, the principals. That is how we're going to find the critical race theory. That is how we're going to find all of the gender ideology that's being pushed into our schools. It's a lot of work. It takes thousands of hours, and we need people.
I couldn't believe what the left is saying, don't say gay bill. That has nothing to do with what happened in Florida. Nothing.
No. So you mentioned Abigail's story. We have 2 cases in Florida of moms in our chapters. One spoke at Governor DeSantis's press conference yesterday when he signed 1557, which the correct term is the Parental Rights in Education bill. The fact that the media has run with the term "don't say gay bill" is despicable because it doesn't say that at all.
Right. And they are complicit. They are complicit in that lie.
January Littlejohn that spoke, her daughter's 13 years old. January is a mental health counselor who has helped children with gender ideology. She is not somebody who doesn't understand these issues. Her daughter decided she wanted to be a boy. The school held closed-door meetings where her daughter got to pick which name she wanted, which pronoun she was going to use, which bathroom she was going to use, where she was going to change, and where she was going to sleep on overnight field trips without even as much as a notification to parents.
Oh my gosh.
That is happening all over the country. We have multiple cases in Florida, the great free state of Florida. It's happening in every single state. And these policies, and they're not even policies because they're not going in front of the school board. Special interests are putting these plans in places, working through the superintendent and staff, the bureaucrats, not even the public. And they're putting these plans in place, and these plans clearly say, do not tell the parents. Not only do not tell the parents, but when you talk to the parents, use their birth name, their birth gender. So deceive the parents.
So how do you find out if that's happening in your school?
You do public records requests for, usually it's an LGBTQ support plan is what they're called in each district. Find it, read it, expose it to your neighbors and your friends. So
will they give it to you? If you ask for the LGBT, what was it called?
LGBTQ support plan.
Support plan. Will they give it to you, or do you have to?
By law, they're supposed to give it to you. It's a public records request. The other thing is our chapters, they're building relationships, and they're building relationships with teachers. A lot of teachers are afraid to speak out, but they're bringing us stuff. They're like, here's the support plan on don't say you got it from me. Here's what we've been asked to teach. Don't say it came from me. And our moms are brave and are exposing it.
I have documents, you've been over here at Mercury One, and you've been seeing what David Barton and I have been building.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah. And I have documents that I'll see if I can find today to show you. The teachers' workbooks to teach about race and ethnicity, to be able to take the children out of class and to teach the children in Germany that it's okay that you don't see them anymore. When a classmate just disappears, what the teacher has to say. It's remarkable All of this stuff has been done before just for another reason. You know what I mean? Now, this is the wedge between the family. And it is exactly the same thing that the teachers were saying. Look, we're just having a conversation here. Your parents, we're not sure about your parents. And when you get that wedge between the parents and somebody is discrediting that parent, it's almost unstoppable.
And when you look at more cases that we just won't get into here, just like the one in California, what's coming into play is that the family is faith-based. So there's another story in Florida of one, it was written in the documents, the attorney, subpoenaed the documents from the school district, and it said, we're not telling the parents because they're Catholic, because they won't understand.
So what do you say to people who say this is not happening? We are in this place to where people just don't want to believe it. And so they'll shut their eyes. And unless it is right in front of them, and then even then, some people still deny it. But what do you say to those people that are saying this is just isolated cases, this isn't really that bad? Because I think this is an absolute I won't send my kids to college. I am not paying for my kids to go to college. They want to go, you can earn the money. I am not paying someone to program you into a robot.
But now it's in pre-K through 12, and you are paying through your tax money.
I know.
It's despicable. So what do you say to someone that wants to put their head in the sand? Shortly after I lost my reelection on my school board in Brevard County, Florida, they came out with their gender support plan. Mm-hmm. And I put it out online immediately. And I had great trust in my community through a lot of people. I'd worked for 4 years, did a really, I think a pretty good job. And people immediately were reaching out and saying, I need the link from the school district. There's no way this is happening in our county. There's just no way. I mean, they didn't believe me. I had to go find the actual thing and put it out there because people are shocked when you show them. I'm afraid they're going to get a little desensitized to some of this stuff and just keep moving. But it's unacceptable. It has to stop. We cannot allow school districts, states to intervene between parents and families.
All right. If you want to get involved, go to momsforliberty.org. I cannot recommend this highly enough. Moms will make all the difference in the world. Dads will too. But when you're fighting as a dad or a mom, look at the difference between any other movement and what's been happening at the school boards. That's because it's dads, moms, and kids.
We take dads. We have 2 chapters out of our 180 that are run by dads. We take aunts, uncles, grandparents, just concerned citizens. We need all hands on deck. We are laser focused right now on school boards and school districts. And our chapter meetings, they literally are, their job is to go over school board agendas. They are told, you pull the school board agenda, and as a chapter, that is what you do. And we teach them about budgeting, school board budgeting, and where they're hiding stuff. We teach them about consent agendas and how they hide things they just want to push through without discussing publicly. And they are finding things, but they have to get involved with our chapters in the local level.
Momsforliberty.org. Momsforliberty.org. Please go there now. Momsforliberty.org. Thanks, Tina.